All right, so last time we left Dante at a pretty dramatic point.
Oh, yeah.
Staring into the abyss. Literally. Lost. And facing down that she-wolf.
Yeah.
Blocking his path to salvation.
Blocking his path.
Talk about a cliffhanger. Then, just when all hope seemed lost, Virgil, the legendary poet, appears out of the shadows. I was so excited to see where we go next.
Well, I think you're going to find that Canto II really digs deep into Dante's thoughts and feelings. It picks up right where we left off. Days ending, shadows getting longer, and Dante's preparing for this big conflict, both of sad pity and that perilous road, as he puts it, which my unerring memory shall retrace.
So much to unpack. Okay, we're starting with this feeling of isolation.
Yeah.
Dante's all alone, seeing his inner turmoil, but then right away he calls on the muses for help. And a high genius. What's happening there?
It's interesting, right? I mean, on the one hand, it's classic epic poetry, invoking the muses, asking for divine inspiration. This big journey he's about to take on. It also shows us how aware Dante is. He's like, I need more than just Virgil. I need, like, all the help I can get, even divine intervention.
And you think he's going to just charge right into hell.
Right.
But then he hesitates. He starts comparing himself to Aeneas and St. Paul, these big epic heroes, but in a bad way.
Yeah.
It's like he's saying, who am I to even try this?
And that's what's so relatable here. It's his self-doubt. It makes him human, makes him vulnerable. He's a guy wrestling with his fear, questioning whether he's even worthy of this, which I think a lot of us can relate to, you know.
Absolutely. I mean, who hasn't felt that self-doubt when facing something big? But then Virgil drops his bombshell. He says he's not there by chance. He was sent by Beatrice, a woman Dante loved. Now, this is where things get really interesting.
Oh, for sure.
Because Beatrice is in heaven now.
Yeah.
But she saw what was happening to Dante.
She did.
And she stepped in to help.
She did. It speaks volumes about the power of love, right?
Right.
Even reaching beyond the grave.
It really does.
Yeah.
And she's not just passively watching from heaven. I mean, getting Virgil down to limbo. That's a feat. It adds this whole layer of divine intervention to the story.
Yeah, I think one of the fascinating things is how Virgil describes how Beatrice asked him for help. He describes her as this dame, so blessed and lovely, with eyes brighter than the star of day. But he doesn't say her name right away. He's creating suspense.
Oh, he's totally teasing us.
Building anticipation.
Yeah.
And then, finally, he says her name. And Dante, of course, is just blown away.
Talk about a pep talk from beyond the grave.
Yeah, but what's even more interesting, I think, is her message. She tells Virgil she isn't scared of hell.
Wow.
Because real fear, she says, can only come from evil. And she's pure. She's basically like, hell can't touch me.
Right.
Really emphasizes her divine nature, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. She's radiating this divine grace, but she's not just there for a visit. She's on a mission. And it involves more than just Virgil. She mentions another blessed dame in heaven who is so upset about Dante that she's got God to act.
Moved God to act.
Right. And that blessed dame
You guessed it.
is the Virgin Mary.
Of course.
So now we've got these two incredibly powerful figures
We do.
fighting for Dante. But wait, there's more.
There's more.
We've got St. Lucia, the protector of sight. Now we've got a trio of heavenly intervention, divine love, mercy, and spiritual illumination,
It is quite a team.
all working to get Dante back on track.
And Lucia, she doesn't waste any time urging Beatrice to hurry, paints this vivid picture of Dante's struggle, comparing him to someone drowning.
It's like a spiritual 911 call.
Yeah.
So Beatrice, pushed by Lucia, rushes down to limbo and puts her trust in Virgil.
His pure eloquence.
Right, to guide Dante. It's amazing to watch this divine plan unfold piece by piece, and you would think, with all this heavenly support, Dante would be like jumping for joy,
Right.
ready to face hell with confidence.
You'd think.
But, of course, this is Dante. He doesn't just let go of his doubts.
No, he doesn't.
Even after hearing all that, he still hesitates.
He does.
He asks Beatrice why she'd leave the perfection of heaven, come down to this place, this center here beneath.
Pretty bold question, right?
It's like he's testing her, almost challenging her,
Yeah, I can see that.
to prove how committed she is to saving him. And Beatrice, being Beatrice, the compassionate soul, she explains everything. She reassures him that she can't be hurt by hell because of God's grace, and that she's there to remove whatever is blocking him from reaching salvation.
Yeah, it's a beautiful moment. showing how deep her love is, how much she cares for him.
And it's interesting, even with all that, Dante manages to slip in a little jab. Says, so thy command delights me, that to obey, if it were done already, would seem late. It kind of sounds like Dante being sassy.
It does, doesn't it? I mean, maybe it's a bit of sarcasm, or maybe he's just trying to lighten the mood. It's a joke, but either way, I think it shows that he's still got that questioning spirit.
He's not just blindly following orders. He wants to understand, to be convinced.
Right.
And that's what makes him such a great character. He's not just receiving grace passively. He's actively wrestling with it.
Absolutely. And I think we're going to see that throughout his whole journey. Always questioning, analyzing, trying to make sense of everything around him when it comes to divine mysteries. But right now, the question is, will all this divine intervention be enough to actually get him over his doubts?
Even after, this incredible display of divine intervention.
3 blessed ladies.
You'd think that'd be enough to convince anybody. But Virgil, he's not going to let Dante just stay stuck in that uncertainty.
Oh, he gives him that pep talk. Reminds him of everything Beatrice has done.
Everything she's risked for him. Even points out that she's crying for him. It's intense.
It's a really powerful moment. He's also appealing to his sense of honor, challenging his fear, saying, why hesitate now? You have all this divine support behind you.
And he reminds him, 3 maids, so bless thy safety plan in the court of heaven.
Emphasizing how important all this is.
Yeah. The high stakes, he's laying it on thick.
He is. You can tell he's getting a little frustrated, too, with Dante's hesitation.
But then something changes.
Because
Dante uses this amazing image to describe it.
Yeah, what does he say?
As florets by the frosty air of night bent down and closed, when day has blanched their leaves, rise all unfolded on their spiry stems, so was my fainting vigor new restored. He's comparing his newfound courage to these flowers, opening up after a long, cold night.
Yeah.
You can almost feel the warmth. It's like Beatrice's love, Virgil's words, this whole divine intervention, it's all worked together to thaw out Dante's frozen spirit. It's not just a surface change, right?
He describes a real inner transformation.
Yeah, he says, and to my heart such kindly courage ran, that I, as one undaunted, soon replied.
So this is where he fully embraces his destiny.
Right. He thanks Beatrice and Virgil, acknowledges what they've done to save him.
Yeah.
But most importantly, he says he's ready to follow Virgil.
He does.
Calls him, my guide, my master thou, and Lord.
Wow, what a change.
Right. Total 180, from hesitant and doubtful to completely committed. He's finally surrendered to the journey ahead.
Trusting in Virgil's guidance.
And trusting that divine plan.
Yeah, the one that's been set in motion.
It's huge. It's a turning point in the whole poem.
It is. This is the start of his descent into hell. He's crossed a threshold, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually too.
And he's not just blindly following either. Remember, he calls Virgil his master. It's like he's entering a student-teacher relationship. Dante is not just a passenger.
He's an active student.
Yeah. He's eager to learn from Virgil's experience.
And I think that's a key point for us as readers, too. We're invited to go on this journey with Dante.
Right, alongside him.
Learn from his struggles, his insight, his transformation.
It's like we have front row seats to one of the most profound spiritual journeys ever written.
It really is. And before we move on, I think we should take a moment to appreciate just how well written Canto II is. It's like a masterclass in psychology. Dante captures all these complex emotions.
Yeah, the doubt, the fear.
The gradual emergence of hope with these vivid images.
And powerful metaphors.
Like those flowers opening to the sun.
That's one of the things I love about Dante. He's not afraid to show us the messy parts.
Right.
The complicated inner world.
So his character.
His struggles, his doubts.
And his triumph over fear.
It's a timeless story.
It is. Faith. Courage.
The power of human connection.
Even when facing the unknown.
It really is. So what happens next? Will Dante be able to hold on to this new courage as he faces the horrors of hell?
That's the question.
Well, I guess we'll have to find out.
We will.
In the next part of our deep dive.
It's going to get even more intense.
We've seen Dante completely transform from lost and scared to ready to face hell itself.
I know, it's pretty amazing.
I gotta wonder, is he really ready for what's coming?
That's a good question.
I mean, this is hell we're talking about. Eternal damnation, fire and brimstone, the whole 9 yards.
I think that's something Dante himself is wrestling with. Remember, this isn't just a physical journey, it's a spiritual one too. He's about to face, Not just the horrors of hell, but the darkest parts of himself.
That's what makes this more than just a scary story. Dante is not going to hold back.
But he doesn't sugarcoat anything.
He's going to explore those hard truths in like unflinching detail.
Yeah, and force us to confront, the consequences of our choices, the nature of sin.
Like he's holding up a mirror, showing us the potential for both good and bad.
Right, the darkness and the light within us.
And he does it with these incredibly vivid images.
So memorable.
I mean, who could forget that inscription above the gates of hell?
Ooh, chill.
Abandon all hope, ye who enter here.
So powerful, so terrifying.
It sets the tone for the whole thing.
It really does. And it's important to remember that Dante's version of hell, it's not just some random collection of scary stuff. It's a system of punishment. Each sin has its own consequence.
You talk about contrapasso, right?
Exactly. The punishment fits the sin. And Dante takes that idea and builds it into the very structure of hell. This complex and terrifyingly logical landscape of suffering.
It's like a moral map.
Showing us the results of our choices.
Our actions.
But he doesn't just present it abstractly. He brings it to life through these really human stories.
Each punishment reflects the sin, but it's also a glimpse into their hearts.
It's like Dante saying, this is what happens when we let our desires rule us. This is what we become.
It's pretty intense.
Yeah, a sobering message.
But there's hope, right?
There is. It's not all doom and gloom. Dante's not just going down to hell. He's trying to find a way out.
He's searching for redemption.
Yeah, a way back to the light.
And that's what keeps us hooked. So as we finish up our deep dive into Canto II, what's the one thing you want our listeners to take away?
I think it's this. The journey through hell. It's not just about external demons and punishment. It's about facing the darkness inside us, finding the courage to choose a better path.
Beautifully put. And that's a journey we can all take, whether we're facing literal demons or, metaphorical ones.
Exactly.
So, listener, as you go about your day, remember Dante. Remember the power of hope.
Even in the face of hell.
Even in the face of hell. And thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
For this deep dive into Dante's Inferno.